Hey guys, mahal everyone, 40 the Broadway Saiyan here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, bringing you guys another video on Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. In this video, we're going to be covering the next upcoming Lost Chapters, going live soon on Global DFFOO, which is going to be featuring the return of Final Fantasy Type 0's Deuce. For those of you that missed out on Deuce when she first came out on her character event, this is going to be a great opportunity now to unlock the character because she is going to be permanently available to all players. Now with Deuce's event, we're going to be seeing a level 70 awakening for Deuce, as well as a rework to her abilities. We're also going to be seeing a brand new summoning banner, which is going to be featuring the debut of Deuce's EX weapon. Her EX weapon can also go EX+, and it's also going to be refeaturing Ace's EX weapon, with his EX weapon going EX+. And to top it off, the bosses for this particular Lost Chapters that are going to be returning are going to be the dreaded Count Steam. And when we actually talk about the fight for that, we're going to be talking about the Chaos version of the fight, because believe it or not, it's going to be probably one of the toughest Chaos fights you're going to be encountering for this current era in Dissidia Opera Omnia. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and dive right into what this Lost Chapters brings us. First of all, we're going to be talking about Deuce's level 70 awakening, as well as her rework. So to start things off, Deuce at level 70 is going to be getting some new passives, just like all other characters that get a level 70 awakening. The first one being C level 65 Magic Attack All, which is going to be unlocking that third ability, giving her the opportunity to grant the party a magic attack increase by 15% for 3 turns, having no action delay and no turn count used except during friend or summon. At C level 68, she's going to be unlocking an aura called Resonance of Bravery and Power, giving a 10% initial brave and attack increase to the party. And then finally at C level 70, she's going to be getting Magic Attack All Extend, which is going to be further improving Magic Attack All, adding a 10% max brave overflow effect to the ability. The Bloom Stone for this particular character is going to be giving 1 additional usage for Magic Attack All, and also extending all of its effects to 5 turns. Now we're going to go ahead and move forward with her rework. So the first things we're going to talk about that come with her rework are going to be what kind of changes she gets to some of the buffs she already has existing. The one notable is going to be for her Note Framed buff, which she provides to the entire party. So before her rework happened, what this does is it increases the party's attack by 10%, but if that character is broken, it gets dispelled. Now with her rework, this no longer gets dispelled, which is one of the issues that this character had. And then afterwards, she gets a new framed buff called Fortissimo. However, you will need her EX weapon in order to have access to this. It has a 3-turn duration, and it grants a 40% attack increase to Deuce, and also increases the party's max brave overflow by 20%. And keep in mind, the effect that is applied to your party is an effect that is applied as an aura to the other party members. So as long as Fortissimo is active on Deuce, the rest of your party members are going to be benefiting from that max brave overflow by 20%. Now her rework will also be slightly improving her abilities. The first one going to be improving her Concerto, which is going to be increasing the brave heal effect to 50% of max brave. And then while Note is active, HP Attack Plus is now going to be healing Deuce's brave by 10% of her own max brave prior to her delivering the single target HP attack. Now, Dissonant Sonata, which is going to be her other ability, gets a slight upgrade too with her rework. So first of all, it's going to be getting its brave hits increased to 5, and also increasing its overall brave damage potency to 125%. And then while you have the Crescendo framed buff active that you get from this ability, her Brave Attack Plus is going to be gaining the following upgrades. First of all, it's going to be getting an increased brave hits to 2, and also increasing the overall brave damage potency to 110%. It's also now going to be healing the party's brave by 10% of her own max brave after she deals the brave attack. And then afterwards, it's going to further increase the Brave Attack Plus's brave damage potency depending on how many Note buffs are present. So if you have 1, it's going to be increasing it by 10%. If you have 2, it's at 50%. And then if you have 3, it's going to be increasing it by 90%. Now the next thing we're going to take a look at is going to be her EX ability coming from her EX weapon. It is called Requiem of Ruin, which is going to be first healing the party's brave by 50% of her own max brave prior to her delivering the brave hits. Then afterwards, she's going to be dealing a 6-hit non-elemental AoE random brave, so the brave hits are going to be random, but AoE, plus AoE HP attack, with the HP damage being divided evenly amongst multiple targets. It's going to be giving this ability also a 120% max brave overflow, with a 600% brave damage potency, granting Note to the entire party for 8 turns, and also granting Fortissimo to herself for 3 turns, with a base recast speed at normal. At 1 limit break, this EX weapon is going to be getting an increase in brave damage potency. At 2, it's going to be increasing the max brave overflow limit. And then at 3, it's going to be raising the recast speed from normal to slightly fast. When you realize or EX plus this weapon, the upgrades are as follows depending on how far you limit break it. At EX plus 0, it's now going to be healing Deuce's own Brave by 10% of the HP damage she deals with Requiem of Ruin. At EX plus 1, it's going to be increasing the overall Brave damage potency of Requiem of Ruin to 720%. At EX plus 2, it's going to be granting the Fortissimo framed buff to Deuce for 3 turns at the start of the quest. And then finally at EX plus 3, it's going to allow the Brave to be overflow healed up to 150% of max Brave after she uses the ability, and it's going to be increasing the max Brave overflow limit when she's actually dealing damage with this ability to 200%. The sphere that you will unlock after you fully limit break and fully level up this EX plus weapon is going to be a D-type sphere called Buff Attack Up All 3. And what happens is that whenever a character has this, whenever 3 or more buffs are active, it's going to be raising the party's attack by 5%. Now, if you're going to be building up Deuce and you're going to be taking her alongside not only this chaos and other chaoses, the best artifact passives to go for are going to be Attack plus 108, Max Brave plus 330, and then finally Unremitting Earnesty Boost. I prioritize Max Brave plus 330 over her C level or over her other passive, artifact passive. The only reason why is that even though her other artifact passives gives a nice aura to your party, it does require her HP to be at 50% or greater. And for me personally, I'm not a fan of those HP requirement type of passives, so that's why I just went with the standard Attack 108 and Max Brave plus 330. Now we're going to go ahead and talk about Ace's EX Plus upgrade before I actually give my verdict on these 2 characters. So at EX plus 0, Ace's EX Plus weapon is going to be granting him 1 stack of Suzaku's trump card for 6 turns every time he uses Jackpot Shot, which is the name of his EX ability. Remember that Suzaku's trump card is at 5 stacks max, that's how high it could go. At EX plus 1, it's going to be increasing Jackpot Shot's brave damage potency. At EX plus 2, it's going to be raising Ace's attack and also granting him 2 stacks of Suzaku's trump card for 6 turns at the start of the battle. At EX plus 3, it increases Jackpot Shot's brave hits to 8 and also further increases the brave damage potency and increases its max brave overflow. And then after you fully limit break and level this EX plus weapon, you're going to be unlocking an A-type sphere called Break Hit Long Boost Long. What it does is whenever a character has it equipped, when breaking or attacking a broken target, you're going to be increasing the max brave by 10% for 6 turns for that character. Now, if you decide to build up Ace, the artifact passives you want to go for are going to be Attack plus 108, Max Brave plus 330, and also Spiral and Boost. So overall, these characters are great. First of all, Deuce is the highlight of this particular Lost Chapters because this is her Lost Chapters. She got some fairly good upgrades, and the thing about Deuce is she is a brave battery, offensive brave battery that further increases your party's offensive capabilities with the buffs that she provides. So she gives you that overflow, she increases their attack, and then to top it off, if you guys remember her Concerto framed buff, what it does is it actually gives your party a brave regen depending on how many stacks that it has. So it's pretty good. She is definitely a really strong support slash magic damage dealing slash buffing brave battery type unit. So she's kind of like a jack of all trades when it comes to like offensive support. And then Ace already got his rework. He already got a level 70. And as you can see, that EX Plus weapon is pretty powerful. It increases his overall damage capabilities. I will tell you right now that if you have that EX weapon fully max limit broken and also fully leveled, the amount of damage that it does is actually quite high. And it's almost guaranteed that you're going to be hitting some pretty high overflow amounts of that. So both characters are very strong. Now, are both characters going to be chaos viable? Yes, I've said this before. Any character that you invest in from moving on forward for the chaos era, if you take the time to give them their optimal artifact passives, if you take the time to build up their summoning boards, and if you take the time to get their gear EX plus and getting them all leveled, getting all of their passives coming from their other weapons, then they could be chaos viable for particular chaos fights, because every single chaos fight moving forward is going to be different. And that's the thing that I want players to understand, is that while the chaos era is scary and while the chaos era is very frustrating, it also allows you to kind of strategize your pools, because it it all burns down to team composition. It all burns down to, oh, if I pull for this character and I build them up, will they be serving me for other chaos fights? And the answer for the most part is yes. For a majority of characters, they all will be chaos viable as long as you invest in them. So if you invest in these two characters, you're going to be getting a great offensive support and battery with Deuce, and then afterwards with Ace, I mean, the guy just hits hard when it comes to magic. Now, if you decide to pass on them, there will be other characters coming out that can actually fulfill similar roles that Deuce and Ace do, which brings us to the topic of the banner. So like we said earlier, the banner is going to be featuring 2 EX weapons. The brand new one is Deuce's, and then the returning one is Ace's. I will let you know that when the second version of the EX token shop comes out, Ace's EX weapon will be present on there. So if you miss out on Ace's EX weapon again, if you decide to pull on this banner, you can always go for it there. Deuce's EX weapon, if you decide to pass on it, the one time that it repeats on JP, that is the soonest, would probably be the Golden Week. However, like a lot of players have been saying, we don't know if Global is going to be getting a Golden Week. So if you pass on Deuce's EX weapon, another time that it's actually going to be repeating is during the Amaditelian character event banner, which is going to be featuring some brand new weapons such as Squall's burst weapon, as well as all of Amaditelian's gear, and also Amaditelian's LD weapon. And Deuce's EX weapon will be present in that particular banner. So if you decide to wait, you do have to wait a while, but that's when the weapon officially repeats, not counting the golden banners. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about those horrible count steams. If you guys remember when this event first came out, even though it was already at an EX difficulty, it wasn't even Cosmos. It was pretty much a Cosmos fight. This is probably one of the more frustrating fights, right next to Agrius's, which is another one that we're going to be seeing soon. But the Chaos version is just even more loads of absurdity and insanity, and this is what it's going to be doing. So the Count Steam Chaos version fight, first of all, there's going to be 2 bosses present, just like the other versions. Both bosses will be absorbing fire and holy. Both of them will be immune to defense down and speed down. However, if you happen to use characters that have these particular debuffs built into a frame debuff, then it'll still apply to Count Steam. They are both resistant to melee and range brave attacks. However, they are still vulnerable to magic brave attacks. They both have that chase value of 40, with 2 bosses being present. Now, some abilities or some things that you want to look out for. Absolutely do not use melee or range brave attacks on these bosses, because if you do that for the Chaos version, they're going to counter with Fire Aga, and then what this does is it not only damages that character, but it removes all buffs on that character, including the framed one. So do not use melee or range brave attacks. Now, they also do something called steam building, or further building steam, or steam is further building, and what this does is it increases their stats when it's just steam building. However, when it uses steam is further building, it not only increases their stats, but also removes all debuffs that they have applied to them, including framed, and it also grants them debuff evasion or elude, which makes it even harder to debuff them. Now, they do lose these stat increases from the steam when they actually perform like a really powerful brave plus HP attack. Just make sure everybody's brave is topped off if you know they're about to do that. And then what it does is it cancels out all of the stat buffs that they received, because I'll tell you right now that when they get those stat buffs, it also becomes a lot harder to damage them. So I will let you guys know that this is one of the more frustrating fights. It is a bit of an RNG fight, and you really have to manage your skills and also everybody's brave efficiently. Some party comps that you could go for. Obviously, you want to go with a synergy if you can. Aerith is also another synergy on this particular Lost Chapters. Even though she doesn't have an EX+, if you happen to have her EX weapon, she can come in handy. Just make sure she has all of her boards and has her cursed artifact passives available to her, so then that way she actually has a chance for this particular one. Both Deuce and Ace can do tremendous amounts of damage. Now, if you want to wait for the next upcoming character that's going to be coming out, which is Ultimisia, which has a lot of hype behind her, she is magic DPS. She can actually deal a significant amount of damage to these particular bosses, considering that she has a lot of gimmicks too with her kit. So if you want to wait for Ultimisia and you're like, you know what, I can't beat this right now, I will wait for Ultimisia, then Ultimisia is another good character that you could bring. Another character that I could suggest for this is Lael, because Lael is magic DPS and he does have an EX weapon, not an EX+, but with his EX weapon, you can kind of abuse the launch mechanic take. So you could, you could launch with his second ability, you could launch with his EX ability. So that's another character you could take. Some other characters that I could think of right off the top of my head, maybe Selfie could potentially work for this, because Selfie actually, when it comes to Brave Shaving, it really only comes from her Brave attack. So if you just avoid using that, she could maybe help mitigate some of the debuffs. She could heal you. She can also increase everybody's defenses. I have seen people use Warrior of Light for this particular boss fight. However, with those videos that I watched, they really do try to avoid using Throw Buckler, because as we know, that is ranged, and if you use that, you're going to get all of your buffs dispelled, because they will counterattack. But Wall can potentially work. You just kind of got to work around with not using his Throw Buckler during the actual boss fight. And then finally, another character that would be really, really good for this would be Charlotta, because Charlotta, as we know, very, very good abilities. If you have her full kit, she could what do you call it, gravity with her EX ability. She has essentially 3 abilities that take up no turn count. So if you're trying to watch out for like a strict turn count, because this one also has another strict turn count, unfortunately, Charlotta would be a great choice for that. She could heal you with her HP regen. She could also battery you up, and then she just has that outstanding skill 2 ability, which is essentially like an HP damage nuke that she uses on enemies. So she could be another potentially good choice to take for this particular chaos fight. But again, just avoid using melee and ranged attacks, because if you do, you're gonna have a hell of a time trying to deal with them constantly counterattacking and removing all of your buffs, including your frame buff. So again, very frustrating fight. It is very possible to do it when it first comes out, but remember, when it comes to chaos fights, guys, it's all about clearing, because the most important rewards are going to be those nuggets that we could use to turn into ingots, which help us upgrade our EX plus weapons. Now, if you're a completionist and you got that pride in you and you want to complete it, then by all means go ahead and do so, but I will let you know that the difference in rewards is just a few gems and like 3 tickets. So unless you really value those, all you really have to do is clear it, because it is one of the harder early chaos fights. Alright guys, well, this is going to conclude my video for the Deuce Lost Chapters. Hopefully you guys found this video useful and helpful. Once again, this is 40 the Broadway Saiyan. Stay tuned for my next video, and mahal everyone.